If you're a life insurance agent writing IUL and you're going into 2026 and you still have not written a 100K issued premium month, it's probably for a lot of different reasons. But what I'm gonna break down today is why your lead quality is probably trash and what the big dogs are doing to consistently write 100K issued target premium in IUL. So first of all, hi, my name is Hunter and I've been generating leads for about 7 years now. And just in 2025, we did about 120,000 IUL leads. And the reason that ours were consistently better than the competition is just for a few key reasons that I'm gonna break down today. The first thing I wanna say to you is not all leads are created equal. I know the saying leads are leads are leads are leads, but when you get to a certain quality of lead that is so low, meaning they never pick up the phone or the first thing they say is you called the wrong number, or they just cuss you out, and it's a consistent issue, that's how you know you're getting low quality leads. It's my personal opinion that you are never going to hit $100,000 issued premium months if all you're doing is buying aged leads. So all we're gonna do today is talk about fresh leads. And here's the most common issues that I see. If you're going to something like a lead center, oftentimes, because we've been offered to be on lead centers, oftentimes what lead centers will pay an agency is $6 to maybe $8 per lead. That doesn't leave a lot of room for the vendor. And I'm gonna make this make sense to you. So let's say that vendor generates leads for $12. Normally, a $12 lead, you can get name, phone number, email, and maybe 1 to 2 questions. And oftentimes, these are ran through what's called a lead form. And because that lead vendor wants to get the cheapest quality possible, they will pre-fill answers. This is why you get so many disconnected numbers, because the answers are pre-filled. So if they're filling it out on Facebook or Instagram, maybe they input a number that's 12 years old and they don't even have it anymore. That's why you're running into disconnected numbers, people that never pick up the phone. You never get in contact with them and they're dead leads out the gate. And you may have bought these leads for $20, but it's solely because this lead vendor could only generate them for 12, and then that lead center sold it to you for $15. So I know that volume is a huge variable when it comes to generating tons of business, tons of production, and tons of issued premium. But if you just allowed yourself a little bit of a higher cap, you can get way higher quality leads. So let's take one of our leads, for example. This lead, let's say, is $40. So right out the gate, wow, that's a lot. That's like almost 3 times as much as this crappy lead. But this lead, you get the same name, phone number, and email. You get 8 to 12 questions talking about, what's your main goal? Who is the beneficiary? Are you most interested in retirement, tax-free income, protection? We can go as far on landing pages as asking medical information, and you just can't do that with lead form. So you're getting those 8 to 12 extra questions. It's much higher intent, and you get something called OTP, or one-time passcode, which is when a lead verifies their phone number, so that once they opt in and they filled out all these answers, they submit their phone number and it sends them a code. And the only way for them to become a lead is to click that code and send it back to Facebook so that it knows, hey, this is a real number. The cool thing is, because we might generate these leads for $35, and of course we have our little $5 margin in there, you get so much more in that. And that's how you can look at 2 different agents. And agent number 1, let's take a look at him. Agent number 1 and agent number 2. So agent number 1 needs 800 leads, and let's say he closes about 40 policies. So let me just pull out my calculator because I'm absolutely horrible at math, but hey, this is why I'm in marketing, right? I just get the numbers fed to me normally. So 40 divided by 800, he's closed about 5% of his leads. Not terrible, definitely. Don't get me wrong, it's not terrible at all. But you could probably do way better. Versus agent 2, he only gets 250 leads and he closes 40 policies. So now let's do 40 divided by 250. That is 16%. That is more than 3 times as good as the other guy. He called 3 times less people, probably had much higher quality conversations, and because the leads went through all of those different hurdles and barriers and submitting questions and answers and OTP, one-time passcode verification on their phone, they're much higher intent, which normally leads to, if you follow me, money here, people that have more money. So these are more sophisticated people, normally more money to spend, and ultimately lower chargebacks than agent number one. So I'd like to ask you, which agent do you think is going to last in the industry longer? Which agent do you think is going to consistently write over 100K issued target premium months and not burn out? Which agent is going to have less chargebacks? And ultimately, which agent is just going to have a better lifestyle? I'd pick agent number two all day long. The last thing I want to show you here is how important the CRM is. And most agents don't even have one, but maybe you do. Maybe you know about Go High Level, or your agency or IMO has a CRM. That's a great start. But what we see most CRMs have is maybe about a 15% conversation rate. And that means that if you send out text to 100 people, maybe 15 of them respond. Whereas if you integrate a couple cool things in your CRM, like blue text, so this means that if your prospect has an iPhone, your texts are showing up blue, so they think it's a real human. That has a much higher conversation rate. And if you mix this in with emails, which AI is targeting and doing some cool stuff for deliverability, and you add in cool dialers like Wave, which have local presence, meaning I'm from Baltimore. If you call me, it's going to be a 410 number, even if you live in Florida. You can dial 3 numbers at once, so you're always talking to people. It has spam protection, so you're never showing up as spam. When you add these things in, you can get as high as a 40% conversation rate. Again, almost more than 3 times as high as traditional things. So again, you can totally write 100K issued target premium months off of just no CRM or crappy CRMs and crappy leads. And you might even end up spending the same amount of money. But this is not a P&L profit and loss exercise. This is what type of lifestyle you want to live. Do you want to be dialing 800 leads every single month and making about 300 to 500 dials every single day and not talking to anybody? Or do you want to be making maybe 100 to 300 dials a day, talking to as many people as you possibly can every day, writing policies, their higher target premium, way less chargebacks, and just living a way better lifestyle? Anyways, this was just cracking the surface of what's possible if you integrate some of the cool things that are out there now. And a lot of them, if you want help, we could just set those up for you. We've been doing this for the better half of a decade. We've done 120,000 IUL leads this year. And we even have some of the insurance carriers themselves now purchasing our leads because they know they're so high intent. We don't cut any corners, and we don't do any of this BS that other lead centers, lead vendors, or your mom's cousin who's some Facebook expert does. So if you want any help with that, feel free to hit the link in the bio. And if you want to learn some other cool stuff about what's out there and how to increase your production, hit this video somewhere around here.